We're just going to consider this as a continuation of the previous class, so no formalities. So the previous class will be 8A and this will be 8B. So this is not one of the scheduled Q&As that we have on the program. They begin tomorrow, and those Q&As will have the speakers up front. And if you have questions for them, you need to submit them. I want to avoid fielding questions live. And we want specific questions about what they've presented on and what they've said that you don't understand. Today's Q&A will be slightly different. So you feel free to ask questions. If they're questions that are targeted at either Arian, Curtis or Terry, feel free to ask them. If they're easy, I'll probably do it. If not, then we'll direct the mic and they can answer from the floor. Over to you. Put your hands up high so they can see you. And can you give the person's name as well, because I can't see all the way at the back. Daniel.
My question is about the methodology. If methodology is a key or a formula, would the most important person on earth come to the same conclusions? Sorry, the most intelligent person on earth. Wouldn't Satan be able or intelligent enough to use this formula to find the truths? The reason I make this question is because often we say, if all of us have and are applying the methodology, we should arrive to the same conclusion.
Does everybody understand the question? Put your hands up if you don't understand the question. So, this is what I understand. Daniel, just say yes or no. We say that if everybody used the same methodology, in the same way, they should get to the same answer, making it quite a scientific endeavor. We've also described it as an art. And to me, the art bit is the first person who develops a thesis. So when they use methodology to develop their idea, if you use that same methodology, you'd get the same answer. And Daniel's question is, besides the Godhead, God. The cleverest person on this planet is Satan. And if we can work it out, can Satan work it out? Yes or no, Daniel? Yes. Everybody got the question now? So I want to ask a question back, and since he's got the mic, I'll get him to answer. So something that we have grappled with that you need to wrestle with I'll finish that sentence in a moment. Daniel, in Revelation 17, why are there 7 kingdoms? Not 6, not 8, not 25. Why 7?
I'm not. I don't know. I don't know if I have the answer. I don't know.
Just give your opinion.
Because 7 is throughout the Bible, maybe.
Because the number 7 is throughout the Bible. Is that your answer?
A simple answer, yes.
So let me ask a different question. Who controlled that number if it's throughout the Bible? Who said there would be 7 kingdoms?
God controls.
So I want to suggest that if we were to, and I don't mean this in any insulting way, if we were to have a deeper understanding of the great controversy, if we were to get into the mind of God, the Bible says, let this mind be in you, which was also in Christ Jesus. So if we could understand how God thinks, we would know that God has limitations and restrictions. Depending on where you are in your experience with God, you may think that they're self-imposed, or you might think that they are forced upon God. Either way, my understanding of my question is that Satan controlled that number, not God. God just sat back, checked their watch, and said, tell me when you're ready. And Satan knew all the methodology, all the rules, everything. And Satan decided by the time you get to the seventh kingdom, they would be ready for the final conflict. The agencies of evil are consolidating. Satan wasn't ready at number 5. And things went wrong at number 6. But Satan used all the methodology, got all of their plans together, and made sure before humans destroy this planet that he would create a system that would be able to win the great controversy. So my answer to your question is Satan knows exactly what we know and more. And who knows the future? Do you? Does God? Does Satan? Because God predicts the future, but until you get there, you don't know that it's going to be so. Satan knows that. God knows that. I'm not sure that we do. So methodology, I'm not sure either helps or hinders him in that warfare. But if your question was aimed at Satan can now understand God's game plan, for sure he can. God is pretty transparent. The issue isn't about being secret, having secret plans that are hidden from Satan. It's that Satan has to use the same rules that we're using. And Satan can't be sure of exactly what number 3 looks like. Just like we can't. He's constrained by the same rules that we're constrained by. I don't know if that answered your question.
Yes, thank you.
Amen. Someone else? With the ultimate ICM and people don't... I thought we'd have 100 questions, 100 hands up. The answer to the question, yes, I am the gatekeeper. That's for you, Monica. Sorry, it's a bit of a joke. Andres.
My question is about the idea that symbols can stand on its own without a structure.
La question est en lien avec le fait que les symboles peuvent se tenir tout seuls, sans une structure.
I'm not sure if I don't understand what's being taught. Or if I do and I don't agree initially, at least.
So, does everybody understand the question? Put your hands up if you don't. So I'll have a go. and tell me if this is your question. So symbology versus structure. So all of us are familiar with lines, waymarks, etc. So if we had a line with waymarks, we've described that in different ways. We used to talk about threading a line. We sometimes talk about progression. And so this can be understood as a structure or a sequence. And I think that's already been stated in some presentations already. Structure or sequence. So I think all of the teachers, or at least two of them, have said that these waymarks, which are figures or symbols of historical events, that's the working definition of prophecy that we have, that these symbols can be taken out of their context and they can be analyzed and used on their own. You don't need to understand them in the context or the story in which they were given. And most people struggle with that. Is that the question? Andres?
I guess, is that what is being taught?
Is that your question?
I'm going to say yes, yes.
Then my answer is yes, that's what's being taught. Does everybody understand the question? Are these teachers doing something illegal by taking a symbol out of the story or the context in which it was given and make it stand alone and do funny things with it? Is that your question?
Yes, but like, I also don't know what it means, or what are they thinking when they say taking it out of the context. I could give an example if you want.
So you're going to give me one or I'm going to give you one? What did you say?
Maybe I can give you, and you tell me like if that's what's being meant.
I'll give you one.
Okay.
Revelation 17. We've said that there's a panoramic view and a dispensational view. Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
So, the dispensational view brings you to the year 1798. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
So we're in 1798, and John is going to look forward and backwards. Agree with that?
Yeah.
And he's going to see a beast, and he's going to see a woman. Agree with that? Yes?
Yeah.
That beast and that woman that he sees at that moment in time is that a dispensational view or a panoramic view?
Initially, I'd say panoramic.
So when Josh says it's a scarlet,
No, let me change. I say dispensational.
dispensational.
Yeah.
And he said that this beast has got 7 heads.
Yeah.
Dispensational?
Donc, est-ce que c'est dispensationnel?
No.
So we see it's a little bit more complicated because it's both dispensational and panoramic. So we take that beast, forget that it's scarlet, bring it out of 1798, take the word beast, and then try to understand what that means. And so this morning, I think, Lara asked a question. It was more of a statement that says, we're not using methodology, we're using logic to define what a beast is. Like, that was some kind of attack. I'm not saying she was attacking, but like we're doing something wrong by using logic. Logic is methodology, of course. So what we're doing is taking the word beast. We know it's a symbol of something, and trying to understand what that is outside of 1798. So it wouldn't matter where you were, what planet, what universe, heaven or earth, anywhere and anything that you could think of. It should work. Whatever that symbol represents. That's what I understand taking a symbol out of its context to be. And then if I say that a beast equals a king. As soon as I put scarlet next to it, then I put structure. And I would call that the 5th king. Hope you will understand why it would be number 5. If I take scarlet out, no context. If I put scarlet in, then there's context. Does that begin to answer your question?
I understood. I think until then.
Does that sound legal to you?
To take the beast out of the
Everything that I just did?
yeah
Reasonable.
yeah
So you obviously have in your mind that something unreasonable is happening somewhere.
yeah
So you're suggesting that I gave a loaded example that I know was going to work.
yeah
So you want to give one that doesn't work.
yeah.
Go on then.
The Fabius Maximus Gurgis example.
Fabius Gurgis. We can leave the Maximus out. What have we done? What did we do?
Yeah, so what I understood is that we are saying that you can take the name.
There's two names.
Yeah, both names. And just forget the context, meaning forget the history and who.
What did we do? We took Fabius and did what?
Check the meanings.
And it meant?
Voting.
You agree with that?
That Fabius means voting?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is there some context to that?
No.
No. So you've taken a symbol with no context.
Mm-hmm.
You're okay to do that.
Yes.
Okay. Then Gurgis means what?
Flood. Or yeah, flood.
I'm waiting.
Flood.
Flood. Any context there?
I guess a little bit of the personality of that specific person. Maybe
He's got a name, but there's no context.
sure. Okay, I can accept that. If the word just means that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because that's why he's got the name.
Yeah.
So you agree, Fabius Gurgis, there's no context. Okay?
Yeah.
Then what did they do that was wrong?
Nothing so far.
Next step?
The next step is that flood equals Sunday law.
So then they said, flood is what?
Well, 538 or Sunday law in the end.
They said that the flood is 538. Are you okay with that?
I'm okay that flood can be 538, yes.
So we're okay with that and that. And we're okay with 538. So now we've got a contextual version of flood. Now we've contextualized flood, yes?
Yes. With the history of 538.
So when we contextualized flood, now what does flood become?
Structure.
No, I mean, what does it become? You take flood to 538 to turn it into what?
You turn flood.
Sorry?
You turn flood to 538. I'm not trying to understand the question.
The teachers took the word flood. I can't remember if you gave 538 or I did.
I did.
From flood, I'm going to say you said they went to 538. Which then contextualizes the word flood.
Yeah.
That's the same as saying the beast is scarlet. Now you've contextualized it.
Okay.
All good?
You put the.
Now what's the next step? You're going to turn flood into what?
Into the Sunday law.
Hopefully everybody got that. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
So all they did was took the word vote all the way down and seeing as Fabius Gurgis was connected before, they reconnect them. And they say, at the Sunday law, there's going to be a vote.
Okay, so
This
then.
was your example, which you said was proving that what they're doing is wrong. I'll go up and you tell me where they made the mistake.
I don't know. It's not working.
Sorry?
The mistake is taking is the beginning, taking the name.
L'erreur se trouve au-dessus des buts lorsqu'ils ont pris le nom.
Like I'm.
You did that.
No, they did that.
You gave me the name Fabius Gurgis. You told me Fabius means voting with no context. You told me Gurgis means flood with no context. And the rest is history. You did what's on the screen, they didn't. I asked you not for you to replicate what they said. If you didn't understand that, we can do it again. Tell me what you think Fabius Gurgis mean. We'll do Fabius first.
What I mean is that so all of that is based on the premise that it has a prophetic significance.
No. Just tell me what Fabius means. Wikipedia doesn't believe in prophecy, but you can go to Wikipedia and get the answer to that question. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
So tell me what Fabius means then.
I would like the same. We did that already.
Same answer.
Yeah, stand by that. Yeah.
We'll get the same answer for Gurgis.
Et on va avoir la même réponse pour Burgess.
And you said the mistake was at the beginning.
Et tu as dit que
Yeah.
l'erreur était au début.
So where's the mistake?
Donc où est l'erreur?
Assuming that the name
Assumer que le nom
is has meaning, a prophetic valid meaning.
et que le nom a une signification prophétique valide.
Does your name mean something prophetic?
Est-ce que ton nom signifie quelque chose de prophétique?
According
Andreas, does it mean something prophetic?
Andrés, est-ce que ton nom signifie quelque chose de prophétique?
according to me, no. According to them, they would have to say yes, I think.
Selon moi, non, mais selon eux, je dirais oui.
Does your personhood, your existence, mean something prophetic?
Est-ce que ta personne, ton existence, signifie quelque chose de prophétique?
I don't think so.
Je ne pense pas.
You're not a priest.
Tu n'es pas un prêtre.
Don't respond from our previous conversation.
You said no.
Are, are you a priest?
Es-tu un prêtre?
Yes.
Oui.
So therefore your personhood has prophetic significance.
Donc, ça veut dire que ta personne a une signification prophétique.
You're a prophetic entity.
Tu es une entité prophétique.
That's not hard to understand. And this person
Et cette personne,
who can be found in prophetic history
dans l'histoire prophétique,
why would they not be something or somebody that has prophetic significance?
quelque chose ou quelqu'un qui aurait une signification prophétique.
Seeing as they're so famous.
Okay. So there you added that the person is found in prophetic history.
Là, tu as ajouté que cette personne est, on la trouve dans
That
l'histoire.
to me that might be
They're in the Bible.
yeah. So it might be key. Like that wasn't mentioned as part of the proof.
Comme preuve.
Even if they weren't, if you're clever enough, you might find a person in a country that isn't mentioned in the Bible that they also may have some prophetic significance.
So if
But I'm not being funny. You just turned the tables. This was your name, not mine.
so
The example I gave came straight out of the Bible. As did yours.
I only gave it because
Go ahead.
they gave it. But so what if I have a child and I name them Sunday Gurgis?
Je l'appelle dimanche Burgess.
Like, does that mean that the Sunday law now is about Sunday?
Mais ça ne veut pas dire que maintenant la loi du dimanche, c'est sur le dimanche.
If your child grows up and becomes the president of Uruguay and has great influence in the UN, I'd say yes. But if your child grows up to be just an average person, then no.
Ah, okay.
We didn't go into that history and talk about Fabius Gurgis' servant. There were hundreds of people in that story. We spoke about this one because he was mentioned.
Okay, then the name does have a context, which is it wasn't a regular person. It was in the context. The name was put on a person that's important.
Il y avait un contexte et le nom est venu parce que cette personne est importante.
No one's. If we go right back to the beginning, no one's denying that these waymarks aren't in a structure. I asked you about the beast. Is it in a structure? We all agreed that it was. So I'm not denying Fabius Gurgis isn't in a structure. What I did was take the beast out of a structure, put it into a black box, and analyze it, which you said seemed to work fine. We did the same thing with Fabius Gurgis. It's not any different. I'm still not sure what the illegality is.
No, that's different. I think it helps because, or it can begin to help me, because I thought we were saying that any person, like if you just take the name and forget who he was, then that it has prophetic symbology, meaning.
She can't understand what you're saying.
I'm sorry. So,
So our translator can't. No.
initially I thought that we were taking only the name and that without its context meant that we forgot that the name, the person was in a prophetic history and that was a relevant person.
I'm not saying you can't do it with a random person that's not in prophecy.
But you're saying that.
No, stop. Ready? I'm not saying you can't do it with a random person that's not in prophecy. All I'm saying is if you did that, it'd be very difficult. So all the examples that we give are prophetic ones, if you want to use that term. Easy ones. Ones that seem relevant to us. But if you do it enough times, then you can develop a robust thesis. A methodology that says it works. So if you want to say, oh, it only works with prophetic characters, sure. But maybe it works with other characters too. We just haven't tested it.
I might have gotten lost there. Are you saying that?
If you're lost, I don't know what your issue is.
I'm not sure I follow what you tried to say there, like in the last part.
Forget what I said. Go back to your model and tell me where the mistake is.
In my model, the mistake is disregarding that the person was part of a prophetic history and important. I guess.
He did. This person doesn't have to be there. We just got his name from there.
So what's the criteria to pick a name? Like, what's the rule?
Someone just told me about it. Sounded good to me. Didn't check that it was in the Bible. Didn't make a difference to me. It worked.
So when I said like my child, if I name them that, why did you say like if they become important in the UN?
Because the only reason we're talking about this person is because his name has endured for thousands of years. If I tried it with his servant, I might be clever enough to do something with it. I might not. All you need to do is throw examples and we'll stress test them. But the one you gave worked. You agree it worked? Can we at least agree that it worked?
Define work.
It was legal. We didn't break any rules. It was a valid use of William Miller's rules. Can you agree to that?
I don't think so.
Well, what I find strange is all the ticks were yours. Your name, your ticks, your definitions. So you're disagreeing with yourself, not with us.
I think we're going in circles. 'Cause
We're running in circles because you're not willing to see or admit that the example you gave works because all the ticks were your ones.
or you're not willing to admit that it doesn't work.
I could say, which we agreed we wouldn't say, that everything that's on the board, which you created, is exactly what Elder tested when she dug that name out. And no one complained for 6 years or so. The complaints come when we now explain, outside of anything that she said, how you do that magic. And people say, that looks wrong when it's explained. When we don't explain anything and we're famous, people seem to accept stuff.
Well, better later than never. I would say.
But you're not accepting it now. Okay, next question. I'll go with Gloria. Oh, could we do Joland? Because he hasn't spoken for a long time.
I think that's connected with what Andres is trying to say.
Does that mean he didn't say it?
No.
Okay.
If we understand that Jesus could return in the period of 1888 or 1863.
One second. Is there a problem? It's no problem. Just tell us when to start. All good? Go ahead.
So, when we understand that Jesus could return in 1888, and that all the Bible would fulfill that time, if someone in the Advent movement would be studying to understand better their time, and pick that name, Fabius Gorgias, and make the same thing that Andres did. So they would understand that Sunday law would be connected to a vote. And not to a Sunday law. So the way that I understand it is that after that time that all the Bible would fulfill or something like that, God is guiding us through some places in the Bible that would explain our time. So I think that God would not guide any of them to take this name, Fabius Gorgias, to understand their time. So what God is doing in our time would be things that they were fulfilled, but we are given a new significance to that, a new meaning for that. And I believe that God uses people, and I would say the principal ones, Jeff, then you, then Elder Tess, and that we are building upon layer after layer. So when Elder Tess did brought this name, that means for me that it is important. And as we talk about hold the chord or the rope line upon line, we could like refer to Elder Tess to understand now what we are trying to understand. So when you said that all the teachers could not refer to her, I think that's good to prove the point without other explanations. But I think that we have to use Elder Tess, and as we grow to a better understanding of all the things. So in summary, I would think that God has guiding. people to understand what they need to understand in their time. And put some symbols or some words in the Bible so we could use them inspired by him to understand our time. So they would not look at that name to understand their time because they have another verses to see, another quotes from Ellen White. But God left some words and some names because he knew that he would not return.
I think I got your point. If there's not a question,
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm not sure if I'm right. I'm asking if I'm right.
over to Gloria. There are certain things that I guess I don't agree with that you've said. In 1888, there was never going to be a Sunday law. Ellen White is wrong. Jesus was never going to return in 1888. That could never have happened because the United States hadn't matured. It was too immature for the sixth to have done its work and then develop, and for the raising of the seventh kingdom. And one of the big crimes that Adventism did then was that its leadership led them astray, which was Ellen White. And one of the most faithful people around at that time, I think, A.T. Jones, wasn't truthful. I think he went against his conscience. I believe he knew there wasn't going to be a Sunday law, but he stayed with the church and just preached the party line. Everything else you said about older Tess, I agree with.
So Jesus would not return in any time before the time we are living in? That's what you said?
Yes, that's what I said. This is not new information. This is not new information. I might be saying it in a stronger fashion than you may be familiar with, but it's not new. Someone can tell me what the Latin phrase is when Ephesus is created. It can only be created when the time has been fulfilled, which means Rome needs to have risen to power and be controlling the world. Because the miracle that they did was create roads. And there's a Latin term for that. Pax Romana. Peace. And without the internet, we would not have had a worldwide message. Jesus couldn't return in 1888. We didn't have a worldwide message then, and it was impossible to have one. You needed to have Pax Romana be fulfilled again. Without that, Jesus can't return. That's not new. Gloria.
So I understand the concept of just having structure and symbology separately. And Aryan talked about when you have structure, just have structure, and symbology, just symbology. Now, when you combine them together, structure and symbology, could you explain?
So we would did everybody understand the question? It's regarding the separation and combination of symbols and structure. So we would know that a line, by definition, is a combination of symbol and structure. Because each one of those waymarks are symbols that represent a historical event. And when you put them connected to each other, you have a structure. So that's how most people understand it when they're combined together. If that's all you have, you won't have enough tools to either explain things properly or prove things thoroughly. And it's only by taking symbols outside of their structure and giving a definitive explanation of what that symbol means that you can be sure of its structural meaning. Because the structural meaning in the context of Revelation 17 is a dispensational view. If you don't pull it out of its context and have a look at it and try to understand what that symbol means outside of a context, you're liable to make mistakes or have a limited understanding of what that symbol means. And then all you need to do is put it back. So, an example perhaps, speaking about the woman, people have said, is it a church? Is it culture? Is it nationalism? And the answer is none of them. It's an ideology. And sometimes that entity is a country, think state nationalism, or a portion of society feminism, they have a culture, or a church which has religious ideas. So, or a church that just has religion. Maybe I'll just say that. All of them are dispensational examples of a wider phenomena or a more enduring entity. And if you remain in the dispensational box, it becomes hard to conceptualize other viewpoints. So people can't understand how you get from the papacy to American nationalism. They find it hard to understand that they're the same things. Because the person who owns those ideas are very different. And if you can take these symbols out of their structure, out of their context, it liberates you from your biases. I don't know if that answered your question.
Another question is the function.
Hasn't-
Yeah. So the function of a hook. What's the function of hooks?
The purpose. What's the purpose of a hook? So in the example that Curtis gave, there's a famous Roman that's doing something somewhere. And that's story 1. Because it's in country 1. Just so happens in the same kingdom, another Roman is doing something else. Story 2, country 2. And they're completely independent stories. They have nothing to do with each other. They kind of do in real life, but... And because this happened in 63 BC, and this happened in 63 BC, this one's obvious. This example. You can see because we've got two 63s. We'll get this story, move it to the left, and do this. This Roman and this Roman. So that's easy to see. Then what you can do, in story 1, you ask yourself, what's happening? And in this history, the superpower enters the glorious land. Literal Israel. So then what you can do is you've got 63 BC twice, So now you've got two stories, and because they're now connected, in this case by the same year, they're happening at the same time. In this case, literally. And if they're happening literally, you can make a case that it can happen symbolically. That these two things could happen symbolically at the same time. And now we have a third story. A third story is not 63 BC. It's Daniel 11 verse 41. Something totally different. Story 3, country 3. And this we'll just call the king of the north. And because we know this country 3 is the glorious land, you can go back to story 1, because story 1 was the glorious land. And now we can add a third element to say that this happens in verse 41. Which, rightly or wrongly, we say is a Sunday law. So that's what the word hooks, there's other terms we could use, that's what these hooks do. We have 3 independent stories. 1, 2, 3. They have nothing to do with each other. These 1 and 2 actually do have something to do with each other. It wasn't a coincidence that they happened in the both year, but they're still 2 separate stories. So all you do is line them up. We've done story 1, the glorious land, and story 3, the glorious land. What we haven't done is analyze story 2. We didn't say what story 2 is about. And so story 2 it's something that's happening within Rome. No other countries. It's in Italy. It's happening. So you pick up internal. So we picked up internal from this structure. We take it out of its context. And we say, what does the word internal mean? When it's in the context of a kingdom. So now we've got something internally happening in a kingdom. You take that concept, which is in story 2, and then you bring that into your model. So now what we're expecting, in verse 41, when the glorious land is being entered into, we should expect, and we're not going to do all the analysis of this, but we should expect something. And internal, we'll call it change. This isn't just any country, remember? It's the superpower. So we should expect some internal change in the superpower. And that was done without any context. You take symbols out of their context, understand what they mean, and then you can put them back into a different context, or the end of the world. So there's plenty of things that Curtis didn't go into in this 63 Caesar story. Story 1 is sort of relatively easy, Pompeii. But this internal change that happens in the superpower is what should be of interest to us. That's how hooks work and how powerful they are. So now we've got some information about the Sunday law that is not found in the Time of the End magazine. Because the Time of the End magazine, Elder Jeff didn't do what's on the board here. You can see how easy it is. And if Elder Jeff had done all of that, he would likely, which is kind of what Jolan said, he said God leads. I'll say Elder Jeff didn't have the experience. He was a beginner in Miller's rules. So he wouldn't have had the ability just to do this simple thing. Understand what Julius Caesar was doing. To pick out the correct, if I'm going to call it symbol, the correct thing or symbol of that story and bring it to the end of the world. So I'm not trying to turn this into some big thing, but this is new. And you can be sure that if I just sort of pluck that out really simply, there's several of these elements. And these will define what happens at the Sunday law. In a way that many of us will be surprised with. Just this one thing. An internal change in the superpower. And all you've got in verse 40 and 41 is the king of the north and the glorious land. It will take us 5 minutes to prove just from this. The papacy is not involved in this story. Because the papacy lives in Europe and Americans live in America. They're two separate things. It's not, it doesn't meet the criteria of internal. That's why what's being taught here this week, I think, is significant and powerful. We've run out of time. I apologise. We've gone 2 hours almost now. Let's close with prayer. Holy God, we thank you. We know that some of the thoughts and ideas that we are sharing this week are hard to understand. We fully appreciate I and the teachers who are standing with me, that some of these things are both new, but some of the old things sound new. May those of us who are strong be patient with those who are weak. May each of us, in our own sphere of influence, be willing to help those who need us. Help us to know and experience that you are leading a people, a church, not individuals. In Jesus' name, amen.